His shoulders were narrow. His face was calm, almost blank. Short dark hair, dark eyes that watched everything but showed nothing. Whispers spread through the hall. A human? They let humans try this? They are fragile. Rook walked alone to the platform. His steps were steady. No rush. No fear that anyone could see. Orcs studied him. "State your designation," Rook the human said. "Species? Human." A few quiet laughs echoed. Orcs raised his hand, and silence returned. "You understand the risks," Orcs said. "Pain level 10 can cause permanent damage." Rook nodded once. "Yes, you may withdraw." Rook shook his head. "No," Orcs paused. His eyes narrowed slightly. "Very well." The platform opened. Mechanical arms rose, holding thin cables and sensor needles. This machine was older than many worlds. It did not care about pride or courage. It only measured response. Rook stepped onto the platform. The surface was cold under his boots. He removed his jacket and placed it neatly beside the edge. Then he stood still. The arms moved. Cables connected to his spine, his limbs, his neck. Needles pressed into his skin. The machine hummed to life. A healer team waited nearby. Their equipment was ready. Their faces were serious. They had seen many cadets carried away from this place. Orcs raised his hand. "Begin at level 1. The screen changed. A mild current passed through Rook's body. His muscles tensed slightly. He breathed out slowly. No reaction. Level 2. The current increased. A faint tremor ran through his arms. He adjusted his stance. Level 3. Some cadets already looked away. Even at low levels, pain was unpleasant. Level 4. Rook's jaw tightened. His breathing became measured. In, out. Level 5. The machine recorded a rise in heart rate. Sweat formed on his forehead. Orcs watched closely. He is still well within tolerance. Level 6. Pain crawled through Rook's nerves like fire. His hands curled into fists. His shoulders shook. In his mind, memories stirred. Cold mornings, training until muscles failed. Falling, standing, falling again. Pain was not new. Pain was familiar. Level 7. A sharp gasp escaped his lips. His knees bent, but he did not fall. His eyes stayed open. A cadet named Hesh, a thick-bodied being with stone-like skin, snorted softly. "He will break soon." Level 8. The room grew tense. This was where many failed. Screams were common here. Loss of control, panic. Rook's teeth clenched. A low sound escaped his throat, but it was not a scream. It was controlled, held back. The screen showed rising neural activity. Stress. "Damage warnings. He should stop," one healer muttered. Orcs did not move. Level 9. Pain became overwhelming. Rook's vision blurred. His muscles screamed. His body begged him to fall, to shut down, to escape. He did not. He thought of standing again after failure, of choosing to continue when stopping was easier, of pain not as an enemy, but as a signal. Level 10. Alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed. The machine vibrated as safety limits strained. Several cadets turned away. Others stared in shock. Rook's body shook violently. Blood ran from his nose. His breath came in harsh pulls. Still, he stood. Orcs stepped forward. "End the test," he ordered. Rook lifted his head. His eyes were focused. "Wait," he said. The hall went silent. Orcs hesitated. "The trial is complete." Rook swallowed. His voice was rough but steady. "You said 10 is the highest level you test." "That is correct." Rook looked at the screen, then back at Orcs. "Start at 11. For a moment no one spoke. Then laughter broke out. Sharp, nervous. "Disbelieving. There is no 11, Hesh said loudly. Oris did not laugh. He stared at the machine, at the shaking human still standing on it. "There is no level 11, Oris repeated. Rook nodded slowly. "Then make one." The alarms grew louder. The machine was already under stress. Its systems warned of catastrophic failure. The healers moved forward. "Instructor, this is unsafe." Oris raised a hand. His gaze never left Rook. "You understand," Oris said, "that this machine was not designed for that." Rook's lips curved slightly. Not a smile of joy. A smile of challenge. "That's okay," he said. "I was." The hall held its breath. Oris lowered his hand. "Increase output," he said quietly. The machine responded. The screen flickered. Pain exploded through Rook's body like a star going supernova. Every nerve fired at once. His muscles locked. His vision went white. The alarm screamed. Data spiked wildly. Systems overloaded. Rook cried out, his voice raw but still conscious, still aware. He did not fall. Inside his mind, there was only focus. Pain was no longer something to fight. It was something to move through. Like fire, like pressure, like gravity. Seconds passed. To the academy it felt like forever. Then Rook's knees buckled. He collapsed onto the platform. The machine shut down automatically. Power cut. Silence fell hard. Healers rushed forward. Cables were torn away. Equipment scanned his body rapidly. "He's alive," one said, surprised. Oris stepped closer. He looked down at the unconscious human. Around them, cadets stood frozen. No one spoke. No one laughed now. Hesh stared, his mouth slightly open. The screen above the platform flickered one last time before going dark. Pain level achieved. Unknown. Oris straightened slowly. For the first time in many cycles, uncertainty crossed his face. The academy had tested pain, and pain had answered back. Rook woke slowly. The white light of the medical wing stung his eyes. Machines beeped around him, scanning and recording his every heartbeat, his every breath. The healers stood nearby, talking quietly among themselves, their faces a mix of relief and disbelief. "Is he normal?" One whispered. "Normal? Nothing about this is normal," another replied. Rook opened his eyes. His body ached as though he had been crushed under a mountain. But he was alive. He flexed his fingers carefully, noticing the bruises and small cuts across his arms and legs. His mind was clearer than before, sharp as a blade. Pain had been a teacher, and he had survived the lesson. A door slid open, and Vale, a senior examiner, entered. Vale was tall and lean, with eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Most cadets found him intimidating. Even seasoned instructors treated him with respect. Vale studied Rook closely, his expression unreadable. "You survived the trial," Vale said finally. His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. "No one has ever done what you did. Not in all the Academy's records. Not even close." Rook sat up slowly, careful not to draw attention to the pain still running through him. "It was not enough," he said quietly. "The body can take more than you believe. The mind even more." Valley stepped closer. "You understand what this means?" Rook nodded. "I understand that pain is only the first test, that endurance alone is not enough. The next trial, I am ready." Valley studied him for a long moment, then gave a small nod. "Good. You will need more than readiness. You will need control, strategy, and courage. We have prepared a challenge for you that no species has ever survived. Even level 10 survivors fail it." The words made Rook's eyes sharpen. "Show me." Vale gestured to the side of the room. A large screen activated, displaying a three-dimensional battlefield. Mountains, rivers, and crumbling cities appeared. It was a virtual simulation, but unlike anything Rook had ever seen. The enemies moved fluidly, like living shadows. The terrain changed without warning. Gravity shifted in patches. Air pressure fluctuated. "This is the adaptive combat simulation," Vale explained. "It is designed to test mental endurance, leadership, and physical response. You will not know what will happen next. You cannot predict it. You cannot rely on your instincts alone. The simulation adapts to fear itself." Other cadets shuffled uneasy. Some whispered to each other. Most had never entered this level of the academy. They were not ready for what was coming. Rook's mind worked quickly. He did not flinch at the shifting landscape or the enemies that appeared like phantoms. He had faced pain, real pain, and come out alive. This was a different kind of challenge, but one he could approach with the same calm. "Your squad will consist of volunteers from different species," Vale continued. "You will lead them. Success depends on your ability to make split-second decisions under maximum stress. Failure is permanent." The words were clear. The stakes were higher than before. Rook nodded. He had already accepted that risk when he stepped onto the platform for level 11. Two cadets approached him. Nara, a sharp-eyed pilot from a gas planet, moved with grace and precision. Her eyes scanned everything, constantly calculating angles, trajectories, and dangers. Beside her was Hesh, the stone-scaled bruiser who had laughed when Rook attempted the pain trial. Hesh looked uneasy, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "This human?" Hesh muttered. "He's still standing?"
After level 11?
Rook's eyes met his. Calm. Unshaken. Hesh swallowed, unsure if he admired him or feared him. Vale's voice cut through the tension. "You will enter the simulation now. Failure is permanent. Success will rewrite your understanding of the human species." Rook stepped forward. Nara and Hesh flanked him. Other cadets were already observing through glass panels. Cameras and sensors recorded every movement. The floor beneath them shifted, and the world disappeared. Rook felt a sudden weightlessness before his feet touched solid ground. The air smelled strange, metallic, and sharp. The sky above swirled with colors that made no sense. Mountains rose and fell in moments. Rivers appeared and vanished. The simulation was alive. The first enemy appeared, a shadowy figure, taller than any human, moving with unnatural speed. Hesh tensed, ready to strike with brute force. Nara's hands went to her weapons. Rook held up a hand. "Observe first," he said. The figure moved like water, flowing around obstacles, anticipating attacks. Its eyes glowed red. It did not speak. It did not hesitate. Its presence alone radiated danger. The human took a deep breath. Pain had taught him to endure. Fear had taught him to control. Now observation taught him strategy. He studied the enemy, noting its patterns, its pauses, its subtle changes. A sudden explosion threw them backward. Hesh hit the ground with a grunt, scraping his scales. Nara recovered quickly, her weapons already firing at the approaching shadows. Rook rolled, landing on his feet. His senses were alive to everything. Sound, light, gravity, pressure. Every small shift mattered. The simulation responded immediately. Terrain shifted under their feet. Bridges collapsed. Rivers became whirlpools. Shadows attacked from multiple directions. Panic rose in his squad, but Rook's calm became the anchor. "Stay together," he ordered. "Move as one. Eyes up. Trust each other." Nara glanced at him. There was surprise in her eyes, but she followed. Hesh grunted, nodding reluctantly. Time moved differently in the simulation. Seconds stretched into minutes. Waves of enemies attacked relentlessly. Rook noticed the smallest patterns. Shadows hesitated after a sudden sound. A river's current slowed for a heartbeat. He used those moments to position Nara and Hesh strategically. A shadow lunged at Hesh. Rook threw himself forward, grabbing the enemy's arm and twisting. Hesh recovered instantly, striking the shadow with a scale-shattering punch. The figure fell, only to rise again moments later. "Keep moving!" Rook shouted. The terrain shifted again. Mountains formed walls. Rivers blocked paths. Gravity tilted sideways, making every step a struggle. The squad adapted under Rook's guidance, moving as a single unit. Hesh used his strength to block attacks. Nara fired with precision. Rook moved with agility, striking weak points and creating openings. Minutes passed, then hours, or at least it felt that way. Pain returned, subtle and insistent. Muscles ached. Breathing became difficult. Fatigue gnawed at their minds. Most cadets would have collapsed by now. Rook did not. He had survived level 11. Endurance was not just physical. It was mental. And in this trial, mental strength was the weapon he wielded most. At one point, a massive shadow appeared. Taller than the simulation's mountains, it moved with deliberate purpose. The squad froze, overwhelmed by the presence. Rook stepped forward. "We can do this!" Together, watch for its pattern. Anticipate. Nara and Hesh looked at him, hesitation in their eyes. Rook's calm resolved their fear. They moved as he instructed, striking coordinated blows, ducking, dodging, and exploiting every opening. The shadow stumbled, then fell. The simulation shifted again, as if acknowledging the human's command. The squad pressed forward. Wave after wave of enemies attacked. Rook's mind stayed focused, constantly analyzing, constantly adapting. Even when Hesh faltered, Rook caught him. Even when Nara's shots missed, he redirected their formation. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the simulation stopped. The sky stabilized. The terrain froze. Enemies ceased movement. The hall's observers were silent. The screen above the platform showed the word "failed," or at least it should have. Vale stepped forward, frowning. Impossible. The simulation, it should not have stopped. Rook breathed heavily. His body ached. Cuts and bruises covered him. Yet his mind was clear, his senses sharp. He had pushed further than any species could, not because of strength, not because of speed, but because he could endure what others could not. The other cadets stared at him with awe and fear. Nara and Hesh exchanged glances. Respect was there, but also disbelief. How could a human survive this, lead others, and still remain in control? Vale spoke slowly. "You understand now why we feared your species. This ability is beyond what we measured, beyond what we predicted. You are extraordinary." Rook nodded quietly. He did not need praise. He had already proven to himself what mattered. Survival. Strategy. Control. The Academy could measure pain, fear, or strength, but it could not measure experience. And humans had a lot of experience. When he left the simulation, he walked past cadets who whispered, stared, and even avoided looking at him. He ignored it all. Pain, fear, and challenge were nothing to fear. They were lessons to be learned. Vale watched him leave, concern and curiosity mixed in his eyes. "This human," he murmured to himself, "may change everything." Rook did not hear him. He was already thinking ahead. This was only the first real trial. The Academy had more challenges waiting, and he would face each of them the same way, calm, focused, and unbroken. In the shadows of the observation deck, a group of Academy officials watched quietly. They whispered among themselves. Some were worried. Some were amazed. One simply shook their head. "If humans are like this, we have underestimated them." Gravely. Rook stepped out into the open corridor. His body ached, yes, but his mind was alive, buzzing with awareness and anticipation. The Academy had designed trials to break the strongest minds. He had survived, and in doing so had begun to show why humans were feared across the galaxy. He looked at Nara and Hesh. They followed without question now. The human had proven himself. Their trust was earned, not by words but by action. The Academy's silence weighed on him. He knew the next challenges would be harder. The galaxy's expectation would rise. The danger would increase, yet he felt no fear. He had survived what no one else could. That was enough. And deep inside, Rook smiled. Not because of victory, not because of recognition, but because he had finally found the test he was meant for. Pain had been the first, endurance the second. The universe, however, still had many lessons left. He took a slow breath. His eyes scanned the long corridor ahead. Every challenge, every danger, every unknown would come to him eventually. And when it did, he would be ready. For humans, there was no limit. Only the next test. And Rook had already begun. Rook woke early the next cycle. The medical team had released him from the wing. Though his body still ached from the previous trials, every step was a reminder of what he had survived. Yet his mind was sharper than ever. He understood something that others did not. Pain alone was a lesson, but control under pressure revealed true strength. The Academy's halls were quieter now. Most cadets were recovering from the shock of the human surviving what no one had expected. Whispered conversations followed him everywhere he went. Some spoke of fear, some of admiration, and others simply of disbelief. Nara walked beside him. "I still cannot believe it," she said softly. "You led us through the simulation while taking more hits than anyone should survive. How did you stay focused?" Rook did not answer immediately. He looked at the walls, the ceilings, the muted lights. "Fear and pain are signals," he said finally. "They tell you what to avoid, what to move through, what to accept. You cannot ignore them, but you do not let them control you." "That is the key," Hesh grunted beside them. "I still think you are not normal. Nothing about you is normal." Rook glanced at him. Calm, steady. Normal does not matter. What matters is what you can endure and what you can control. They reached the training arena, larger than any battlefield Rook had seen before. Massive walls rose into the clouds, towers bristling with weaponry. Observers lined the balconies, and instructors moved about quietly, noting every detail of the cadets' movements. Vale met them at the entrance. His gaze was sharper than ever. "Your performance yesterday has caused unusual concern among the council," he said. "They insist you undergo the strategic trial. It will test your mind, your team coordination, and your decision-making under extreme conditions, not just pain. Not just endurance. Survival will depend on how you think, not only on how you fight." Rook nodded. He did not need to hear warnings. He had already survived the impossible once. He knew what was coming. The squad was larger now. Nara and Hesh remained, but other cadets joined them. Lyra, a small, quick species with luminous skin that changed color when stressed, and Kor, a heavy-set brute with thick armor and slow but powerful movements. The group was mismatched, each from different worlds, but Rook understood that diversity could be a strength. Vale led them to a control room overlooking the arena. Panels lit up with displays of enemy movement, environmental hazards, and shifting terrain. The room was silent except for the soft hum of machinery. "This simulation adapts to your fears and weaknesses," Vale explained. "It learns. It predicts. It punishes hesitation. You must act decisively, or you will fail." The cadets nodded, though some did so nervously. Rook felt nothing but anticipation. Challenges were meant to be met. Pain, fear, fatigue. They were all tools, not obstacles. The arena opened beneath them. The squad was dropped onto rocky terrain. Storm clouds swirled overhead. Lightning flashed, illuminating jagged cliffs and deep chasms. Shadows moved across the ground faster than the eye could follow. Rook assessed the environment instantly. Rocks could be used for cover. Cliffs provided vantage points. Waterways could slow enemies. The squad's positioning would be key. Nara's voice cut through the tension. "There are too many. We cannot fight them all." Rook shook his head. "Then we do not fight them all. We control where they attack. We funnel them. We use the terrain. Keep moving, eyes open. Trust each other." The first wave came. Dark shapes with sharp limbs and glowing eyes advanced. They were relentless, fast, and unpredictable. Hesh swung his arms, crushing several before another attacked from behind. Lyra darted between shadows, striking quickly, then disappearing again. Kor blocked a massive blow, holding his ground while Rook directed their movement. Rook moved as the squad's anchor. He did not throw punches unless necessary. He used timing, positioning, and anticipation to protect his teammates and eliminate threats efficiently. Every decision was precise. Every movement calculated. The environment shifted. Rocks became unstable. Gravity tilted. Lightning struck dangerously close. Cadets stumbled. Fear rose. Rook remained calm. He assessed every risk. Lyra, flank right.
Nara, cover her. Hesh, hold the line.
Support from the rear. The squad followed. Ha! Coordination improved with each encounter. They adapted to the changing terrain. Shadows fell where Rook wanted them, moving into traps he predicted. The humans' understanding of the battlefield was unlike anything the Academy had seen. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. Time felt warped. The squad was battered, bruised, and exhausted. Many cadets from other teams would have collapsed by now, yet they moved as one. Rook's calm focus gave them direction. Then, the simulation changed again. The ground split, creating deep fissures. Lava poured from cracks, forcing the squad to jump or find new paths. Enemies attacked from above, dropping silently onto their positions. Hesh shouted in frustration as he was forced to retreat. Rook's mind raced. He scanned, analyzed, and calculated. Use the fissures to your advantage. Make them come to you. We control the fight. He jumped first, landing perfectly. Nara followed, firing at approaching shadows. Lyra moved with speed, guiding Kor as he pushed forward. Hesh roared, smashing a shadow into the lava below. Rook realized something crucial. The simulation was adapting, learning. Each time they used a strategy, the environment responded. He could not rely on brute force. He had to stay ahead, predicting not only the enemies but the arena itself. A massive shadow appeared suddenly, towering over the squad. Its eyes glowed red, its limbs cutting through the air like blades. The squad froze for a heartbeat, overwhelmed. Rook stepped forward. We do this together. Stay close, watch my lead. The shadow attacked. Rook moved with precise timing, dodging, striking, and creating openings for his squad. Nara fired at weak points. Lyra distracted the enemy with speed and agility. Hesh landed powerful blows that staggered the creature. Kor supported from behind, blocking attacks that came too close. The shadow faltered. Rook seized the opportunity. He struck a calculated blow, and the creature fell, not dead, but neutralized. The arena paused for a moment, acknowledging the human strategy. The squad pressed forward. Another wave came, and another. Each enemy tested their limits. Each new hazard demanded quick thinking and coordination. Yet Rook's calm, controlled presence held them together. Sweat and blood covered them. Fatigue gnawed at muscles and minds. Cadets from other teams had already fallen. Some screamed, others froze. Rook's squad endured. They adapted. They survived. Vale and the observers watched in silence, stunned. The simulation had never ended this way. No cadet had ever maintained control under such extreme conditions for so long. Hours passed. The squad reached the central point of the arena. The sky cleared slightly. The ground stabilized. The remaining shadows retreated. The simulation ended. The room's monitors displayed the word, "Survived." Cadets stared at Rook in awe. Nara, Hesh, Lyra, and Kor were exhausted, but alive. They had followed him through impossible odds, and lived. Respect, awe, and disbelief mingled in their eyes. Vale approached slowly. You have done what no species has ever done. You have led a team through the adaptive combat simulation. You have survived when others failed. You have rewritten the Academy's understanding of endurance and leadership. Rook nodded quietly. He did not seek praise. His eyes scanned the arena, noting the fallen enemies and the shifting terrain. He understood that survival required more than strength. It required clarity, observation, and calm under pressure. The observers whispered among themselves. Some were concerned. Some were impressed. One simply shook their head. If humans are like this, the galaxy has underestimated them. Gravely. Rook helped Nara and the others from the arena. Their bodies were battered, but their spirits were intact. They had survived impossible odds because of him, and that knowledge changed them. He walked through the corridors of the academy afterward, silent and focused. Other cadets avoided him, some out of fear, some out of respect. Whispers followed him everywhere. Pain had taught him endurance. The simulation had taught him strategy, control, and leadership. He understood now that the Academy's greatest trials were not just tests of the body, but of the mind and spirit. Rook looked ahead. There were more trials coming, more challenges designed to break the strongest minds and bodies. He would face them all the same way, calm, focused, and unbroken. He had survived level 11. He had survived the adaptive combat simulation. And he had proven one undeniable truth: humans were not to be underestimated. Rook walked through the quiet halls of the academy, his steps echoing against the metal floors. The events of the last trials had left the other cadets whispering. Some avoided him, some stared openly, eyes wide with disbelief. But Rook paid them no mind. His focus was always forward, on the next challenge, on what he needed to learn, and on what he could endure. Vale approached him quietly, moving with the same measured calm he always carried. "You have passed the adaptive combat simulation in a way no one else has," he said. "But the Council is not satisfied. They want to see if your abilities are more than endurance and strategy. They want to see how you handle the galaxy's greatest pressures." Rook nodded. He had expected this. Passing one trial never meant safety in the academy. It was only the beginning. "What do they want me to do?" he asked. Vale's eyes darkened slightly. "The next trial is not a simulation. It is a controlled combat exercise. The Council has designed it to mimic actual battle conditions, real weapons, real danger. Cadets have been removed before reaching this stage. Some never returned." Rook's lips pressed together. He felt the old thrill of challenge rise in his chest. He had survived level 11. He had survived the simulation, and now he would face real danger. His mind was clear. Fear did not exist for him in the same way it existed for others. He understood it, he respected it, but he did not let it control him. The squad was waiting for him at the staging area. Nara, sharp-eyed and alert, adjusted her gear. Hesh flexed his massive arms, clearly nervous, though he would never admit it. Lyra and Kor completed the team, each moving with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. They had survived the simulation because of Rook's guidance. Now, they would need to survive real combat under the same leadership. Val led them to a massive chamber. The walls were reinforced with black metal and lined with observation decks. Above, the council members watched silently. They were elite instructors, veterans of countless wars, experts in strategy and survival. Their expressions were unreadable, but Rook knew they were curious. They wanted to see if a human could handle what no one else could. A massive platform descended from the ceiling. Weapon systems lined the walls. Gravity fields could be altered at will. Environmental hazards could be activated instantly. The arena was a masterpiece of danger. Vale stepped aside. "You will face coordinated attacks designed to overwhelm you. Every species in the galaxy has attempted similar trials. None have succeeded. You will command your squad. Your goal is not to destroy everything. Your goal is to survive, adapt, and complete the mission objectives. Fail, and you will not leave this chamber alive." Rook nodded. He did not speak. Words were not needed. The squad followed him without hesitation. They trusted him. That trust was their advantage. The platform dropped into the arena. The world shifted instantly. Smoke filled the air. The ground shook. Gravity tilted at unpredictable angles. Enemies appeared in waves. They were fast, aggressive and coordinated. Rook scanned the battlefield. His eyes flicked from enemy to terrain, from his squad to the hazards that surrounded them. He understood immediately. Brute force would not work here. Coordination and anticipation would decide the outcome. "Stay together," he commanded. "Watch my lead. Move as I move. Cover each other. Trust your instincts, but follow my guidance." The first wave attacked. Shadows with jagged limbs and glowing eyes lunged from every direction. Hesh braced, swinging his arms to block attacks. Nara fired precisely at weak points. Lyra darted between enemies, striking quickly, while Kor used his bulk to hold critical positions. Rook moved fluidly, his body responding with instinct and calculation. Every strike was precise, every dodge anticipated. Pain and fatigue had honed him, but strategy had made him unstoppable. The arena shifted again. Lava spewed from cracks in the ground. Gravity reversed in patches, sending cadets tumbling if they were not careful. Rook adjusted instantly, guiding his team, exploiting the hazards to their advantage. The shadows stumbled, confused by the humans' tactics. Time stretched unnaturally. Waves of enemies attacked relentlessly. Other cadets would have panicked, frozen, or fallen. But Rook's calm anchored the team. They moved as one, each action guided by observation, precision, and trust. A massive shadow appeared, taller and stronger than any before. It advanced with deliberate power, crushing obstacles in its path. The squad froze momentarily, overwhelmed by its presence. Rook stepped forward. "Focus! Watch its movements. We can control the fight."
The shadow attacked. Rook dodged, striking in perfect timing, creating openings for his squad.
Nara fired at precise points. Lyra distracted and maneuvered. Hesh delivered crushing blows. Kor blocked attacks and held position strategically. The shadow faltered. Rook saw the weakness and acted. He struck, and the creature fell, neutralized. The arena paused briefly, acknowledging the human strategy. The squad pressed forward. Another wave of enemies appeared. And another. Each tested their limits. Each hazard demanded quick thinking and coordination. Fatigue clawed at muscles. Fear tugged at minds. But Rook's presence kept them together. Sweat and blood coated them. Exhaustion threatened, but they moved with determination. Every decision was life or death, and every success reinforced their confidence. They survived because Rook had taught them how to adapt. Hours passed. The final wave approached. The arena itself seemed to resist them. Gravity shifted violently. Lava flows threatened paths. Shadows attacked relentlessly from all directions. Rook assessed everything. He predicted movements, countered hazards, and guided his squad. They moved efficiently, decisively, and with perfect coordination. Finally, the last shadow fell. The arena stabilized. Gravity returned to normal. Hazards deactivated. The chamber's silence was profound. Vale stepped forward, eyes wide.
"I have never seen this happen," he said. "No species has ever completed this trial."
"You have done what no one else could. You have survived where all others have failed." Rook helped his squad to their feet. They were battered, bloodied, and exhausted, but alive. They had endured the impossible because of his leadership, his calm, and his ability to turn danger into strategy. The council watched in silence, some shocked, some impressed, and some quietly fearful. If a human could survive this, what else could they endure? Rook walked through the chamber, observing the aftermath. Fallen enemies, shifting terrain, and hazards marked the trial. But he was not concerned with destruction. He was concerned with understanding, with adaptation, and with preparation for what would come next. He understood something fundamental. Survival was not about strength alone. It was about clarity, coordination, and control under pressure. That was what made humans dangerous. When the squad left the arena, other cadets avoided them, whispered, or stared, respect mixed with fear. Rook ignored it all. Pain had taught him endurance. The simulation had taught him strategy, and real combat had taught him control. The Academy had designed trials to break the strongest minds and bodies. Rook had survived, and in doing so, he had shown why humans were not to be underestimated. Vale approached quietly. "You have survived the greatest trials the Academy can offer. But your journey is not over. The galaxy watches. Others will test you. They will not be as controlled as this arena. They will not follow rules." Rook nodded. "Then I will be ready." "We will be ready." The Academy had pushed him to the edge of human endurance, and he had surpassed it. Pain, strategy, and real danger had been nothing to him, and he knew deep inside that the galaxy had only begun to understand what humans could endure. The silence of the corridors followed him. Other cadets whispered. Observers made notes. Vale watched, thoughtful, and perhaps slightly uneasy. Rook had survived what was meant to destroy him, and in doing so, he had changed the Academy's understanding forever. As he walked into the medbay to recover, Rook's mind already moved forward. He would face the next trials, and the next, with the same calm, focus, and resilience that had carried him this far. The galaxy had underestimated humans. That was about to change. The Academy's corridors were quieter than usual as Rook returned from the combat arena. His body ached with the familiar marks of battle, but his mind was sharper than ever. Each trial had pushed him further, yet he felt more alive, more aware. Pain had taught endurance. The simulation had taught strategy. Real combat had taught control. Now he wondered what the next challenge would bring. His squad walked beside him. Nara moved with precision, checking her equipment. Esh flexed his stone-like arm, still in awe of the human who had guided them through impossible odds. Lyra's luminous skin pulsed softly, reflecting her nervous energy, and Kor's bulk moved carefully, aware that another trial would come. All of them had survived because of Rook. Vale met them at the end of the corridor. His usual calm demeanor carried a hint of concern this time. "The Council has made a decision," he said. "They want you to face the next phase immediately. A real test. Not a simulation. Not controlled combat. An environment designed to simulate chaos at a galactic scale." Rook did not flinch. He had survived impossible pain and strategic trials. Chaos was simply another challenge. "Lead us there," he said quietly. They followed Vale through a series of doors that led to the Academy's outermost testing facility. The room was enormous, stretching into shadows. At first it appeared empty. Then walls shifted, floors dropped, and gravity fields fluctuated. Real hazards filled the chamber. Collapsing structures, toxic gas vents, shifting ground, and automated defense drones that fired without warning. "This is the extreme survival trial," Bale said. "It is designed to test endurance, strategy, and leadership in a fully uncontrolled environment. Only the strongest minds survive." The platform beneath their feet lowered into the chamber. The floor was jagged metal, slick with oil. Sparks flew from broken conduits and the air buzzed with static electricity. The squad took their positions immediately, trusting Rook's calm guidance. The first wave of attackers came not as a group, but as individual threats. Shadowy figures with bladed limbs and glowing red eyes appeared from the ceiling, walls, and floor. Some moved faster than the eye could track. Others were deceptively strong, smashing through obstacles with brute force. Rook studied the threats quickly. Observation was key. "Do not scatter," he ordered. "Move as one. I will guide the attacks. Follow my lead. Use the environment. Every hazard can become a weapon." The squad followed without hesitation. Nara fired at weak points in the enemy's defenses. Lyra darted between shadows, her movements almost invisible. Hesh blocked attacks with brute force. Kor held strategic points to prevent ambushes. Rook moved in the middle, reading the battlefield, anticipating the next move, directing them all with precise commands. The chamber shifted again. Gravity tilted sideways, sending cadets sliding across the floor. Sparks fell from the ceiling. acid pools formed rapidly. A wall collapsed, sending rubble toward the squad. Most teams would have panicked, but Rook's calm anchored them. "Use the rubble for cover," he commanded. "Push forward after the shadows are distracted. Lyra, flank right. Nara, watch your flank. Hesh, keep the center clear. Kor, block the rear." Every instruction was followed perfectly. The squad moved with coordination that was remarkable for such a short time together. Rook's calm had instilled confidence, turning fear into focus. Minutes turned into hours. The chamber never stopped testing them. Shadows attacked in unpredictable patterns. Environmental hazards shifted constantly. Drones fired from unseen positions. Cadets' muscles ached. Fatigue threatened to overwhelm them. Yet Rook remained calm. He had survived Level 11. He had survived the adaptive combat simulation. He had survived the controlled combat exercise. Chaos, real danger, and overwhelming odds were simply another challenge. A massive shadow emerged from a fissure in the floor. It towered over the squad, its glowing eyes fixed on them. The air pulsed with heat from nearby lava flows, and debris rained from above. Rook assessed the situation. Do not engage directly. Use the environment. Force it into the hazards. Keep moving. Control its attacks. Hesh growled but followed Rook's lead. Nara and Lyra flanked as instructed. Kor held the rear, ready to intercept any shadow that broke through. The shadow lunged. Rook moved first, dodging its massive arms and using its momentum to redirect it into a pool of molten metal. Sparks flew. The shadow roared and staggered. The squad attacked in perfect coordination, exploiting every opening Rook identified. One by one, the shadows were neutralized. Some retreated. Some were destroyed by environmental hazards. The squad survived each wave, adapting faster than the chamber could change. Vale and the council observed silently. They had never seen a cadet maintain such control under extreme chaos. Other species would have crumbled. Humans, they realized, were something entirely different. The chamber shifted again. Now multiple threats appeared simultaneously. Shadows, drones, and unstable terrain. The squad moved seamlessly, anticipating attacks, covering each other, and surviving against impossible odds. Rook noticed the smallest patterns. A drone's firing sequence repeated after 3 seconds. A shadow's attack left it vulnerable for a heartbeat. Gravity shifts could be predicted with attention. Every hazard became a tool. Every attack became an opportunity. Hours passed. The squad was battered, bloodied, and exhausted, but alive. Every member moved with precision, trusting Rook's calm guidance. Finally, the last wave approached. The chamber itself seemed to test them, throwing hazards faster, enemies stronger. Gravity shifted violently. Lava erupted from fissures. Shadows attacked relentlessly. Rook did not falter. He moved, calculated, guided, and protected. Nara, Lyra, Hesh, and Kor responded to every instruction. They moved as one. The final shadow fell. Gravity normalized. Hazards deactivated. The extreme survival trial ended. Silence filled the chamber. Vale approached, his face unreadable. "I have never seen this happen," he said. "No cadet, no species has ever survived this. You have done what no one else could. You have survived chaos itself, and led others to do the same." The squad stood, battered and exhausted, but alive. Respect and disbelief shone in their eyes. They had survived impossible odds because of Rook's leadership, calm, and clarity. The council whispered among themselves. Some were impressed, some were fearful. If a human could survive this, what else could they endure? Rook walked through the chamber, observing fallen enemies, shifting terrain, and hazards. Survival had not depended on strength alone. It had depended on clarity, coordination, and control under pressure. That was the human advantage. Other cadets avoided the squad, some out of fear, some out of awe. Rook ignored them. Pain, strategy, and chaos had been conquered. He was ready for the next challenge. Bale followed quietly. "You have survived trials designed to break the strongest minds and bodies. he said. "The galaxy has underestimated humans. They will not remain ignorant for long." Rook nodded. "Then we must continue to train. Others will test us. They will not follow rules." The Academy had pushed him to the edge of human endurance, and he had surpassed it. Pain, strategy, real combat, and chaos had all been nothing to him. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and that was about to change. He looked at his squad. They were exhausted, but they had survived. Trust and respect bound them together. He would continue to guide them. Together, they could face anything. As they walked from the chamber, the council and instructors watched in silence. Rook had survived the extreme survival trial. He had survived what should have been impossible. And he had shown the first clear sign of why humans were feared across the galaxy. Rook's mind was already moving forward. More trials awaited. More challenges would come. The galaxy would continue to test him and his kind. And when it did, he would be ready. Humans did not just endure pain. Humans adapted. Humans survived. And now, the galaxy had learned the truth. Rook stood on the observation deck of the Academy, looking out across the vast training grounds. His body was battered, his muscles ached, and his skin bore the marks of countless trials. Yet his mind was sharper than ever. Every test, every challenge, every wave of pain and chaos had taught him something new. Endurance was only the beginning. Strategy and control followed. Leadership and adaptation completed the circle. Vale approached quietly, his usual calm demeanor mixed with a hint of awe. "The council is waiting," he said. "They want to see the final test. They call it the ultimate trial. It is designed to push a cadet beyond what any species can endure. Many have attempted it. None have succeeded." Rook's eyes narrowed slightly. "Then I will succeed," he said. His voice was steady, calm, certain. Pain, chaos, and fear were tools he had learned to wield, not enemies to fear. The squad assembled behind him. Nara, Hesh, Lyra, and Kor. Each had survived the previous trials. Each had been guided by Rook through impossible odds, and each now trusted him completely. Their movements were precise, their focus unwavering. They knew this trial would test everything they had learned. Vale led them to a massive chamber at the heart of the Academy. The ceiling disappeared into darkness, the walls stretched endlessly, and the floor was littered with obstacles, hazards, and shifting platforms. Automated defense systems lined the perimeters. Environmental hazards were unpredictable. Gravity shifted without warning. The air was thick with energy, charged and dangerous. "This is the ultimate trial," Vale said. "It will test endurance, strategy, combat, leadership, and adaptation simultaneously. You will face every challenge you have experienced before, multiplied. You will face new threats that will adapt to your actions. Your squad's survival and your own depend entirely on your ability to remain calm, focused, and decisive. Failure is permanent."
Rook nodded.
He did not flinch. The council's warnings were merely information, not obstacles. He had faced impossible pain, controlled chaos, and survived strategic combat. Nothing they could throw at him would be unfamiliar. The floor beneath them shifted, and the chamber transformed. Platforms rose and fell, walls crumbled and rebuilt themselves, gravity twisted. The squad moved instantly into formation. Nara checked her weapons, her eyes scanning for threats. Lyra's skin pulsed with tension. Hesh flexed, ready for any attack. Kor stood firm, a solid anchor in the unpredictable environment. The first wave of enemies appeared. Shadows with jagged limbs, fast-moving and intelligent, advanced from every direction. Automated drones fired without warning. Environmental hazards erupted. Lava flowed from fissures. Walls collapsed. Gravity shifted violently. Rook studied the battlefield instantly. Observation, anticipation, and calm had saved them before. They would save them again. "Do not scatter," he commanded. "Move as one. Follow my lead. Every hazard can be a weapon. Every attack can be countered." The squad obeyed without hesitation. Nara fired at weak points in enemies and drones. Lyra darted through hazards, striking swiftly and disappearing. Esh blocked attacks, absorbing force and creating openings. Kor held critical positions, intercepting threats. Rook moved with precision, directing them all, predicting every shift in the battlefield. The chamber shifted again. Gravity reversed in patches. Spikes emerged from the ground. Explosions erupted from unseen sources. Other cadets would have panicked. They would have faltered. Rook's calm anchored his squad. He noticed patterns, as he always did. The drones fired at intervals. Shadows moved with a rhythm. Environmental hazards repeated in subtle ways. Every moment provided opportunity if they acted decisively. A massive shadow appeared suddenly, taller and stronger than any before. Its limbs cut through the air like blades. The squad froze momentarily, overwhelmed. "Focus!" Rook ordered. "Observe its pattern. Use the environment. We control the fight." The shadow attacked. Rook moved fluidly, dodging its strikes, striking weak points, creating openings for his squad. Nara fired precisely. Lyra flanked and distracted. Pesh delivered crushing blows. Kor held positions strategically, intercepting any shadow that tried to break through. The shadow faltered. Rook struck again, and the creature was neutralized. The chamber paused briefly, acknowledging their success. Another wave appeared, and another. Each was stronger, faster, and more unpredictable than the last. Environmental hazards intensified. Gravity shifted violently. Lava flows appeared without warning. Shadows attacked relentlessly. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time warped under extreme stress. The squad was battered, bruised, and exhausted, but Rook remained calm. Every move was deliberate, every instruction precise, every opportunity exploited. The final wave approached. It was a combination of everything they had faced before. Shadows, drones, environmental hazards, shifting terrain, and unpredictable gravity. The squad moved seamlessly, following Rook's commands perfectly. Rook noticed the smallest patterns. A shadow hesitated for a heartbeat after attacking. A drone's firing sequence repeated every 3 seconds. Gravity shifts were predictable if timed correctly. Every element of chaos could be used as a tool. Every hazard could be exploited. The squad executed Rook's strategy flawlessly. Nara fired at weak points. Lyra darted through chaos, striking and disappearing. Hesh blocked attacks and created openings. Kor held critical positions. Rook moved with precision, leading, protecting, and directing. The final shadow fell. The arena stabilized. Gravity normalized. Hazards deactivated. Silence filled the chamber. Vale and the council approached, their faces unreadable but their eyes wide. "I have never seen this happen," Vale said quietly. "No cadet, no species has ever survived the ultimate trial. You have done what was impossible. You have survived chaos, pain, strategy, combat, and unpredictability simultaneously. You have survived where all others have failed." The squad stood, battered, bloodied, and exhausted, but alive. Respect, disbelief, and awe shone in their eyes. They had survived impossible odds because of Rook's leadership, calm, and clarity. The council whispered among themselves. Some were impressed, some were fearful. If a human could survive this, what else could they endure? Rook walked through the chamber, observing the aftermath. Fallen enemies, shifting terrain, and hazards marked the trial. He had survived not because of brute force alone, but because of clarity, observation, and calm under extreme stress. That was the human advantage. Other cadets avoided them, some out of fear, some out of awe. Rook ignored them. Pain, strategy, chaos, and real danger had been conquered. He was ready for whatever came next. Vale followed quietly. "The galaxy has underestimated humans," he said. "Your species has shown abilities beyond calculation. Others will take notice. Others will challenge you."
Rook nodded. "Then we will be ready," he said.
His voice was calm, certain. "We have survived what no one else could. Others will test us. They will not follow rules. But we will endure. We will adapt. We will survive," the council observed silently. They understood now that humans were not like other species. Pain, strategy, chaos, and fear did not break them. They learned from it, adapted, and overcame it. Rook turned to his squad. Nara, Hesh, Lyra, and Kor had survived because of his guidance. They had learned that humans were not merely strong, but capable of mastering the impossible. Together they were more than a team. They were a force. As they left the chamber, Vale and the council followed. The Academy had pushed him to the edge of endurance, and he had surpassed it. The galaxy had underestimated humans, and that truth had been made clear. Rook's mind was already moving forward. More challenges awaited beyond the Academy walls. More tests, more enemies, more chaos would come. The galaxy would continue to challenge him and his kind. And when it did, he would be ready. Humans did not just survive. Humans endured, adapted, and mastered every challenge. That was why the Academy had feared him. That was why the galaxy would come to respect and, perhaps, fear his kind. As he walked through the corridors with his squad, whispers followed. Cadets looked on with a mixture of awe and fear. Instructors observed quietly. Vale watched thoughtfully. Rook had survived the ultimate trial. He had faced impossible odds, unimaginable danger, and chaotic conditions, and he had not only survived, he had led others to survive as well. The galaxy had underestimated humans. That mistake would not be repeated. Rook smiled slightly, not because of recognition or praise, but because he had learned the final lesson. Humans could endure the impossible. Humans could adapt when no other species could. Humans could rise above fear, pain, and chaos, and survive when all others failed. The Academy had tested him to the limit, and he had proven them wrong. The Council would remember this day. Other species would remember this day. And humans, for the first time, would be understood as a force that could not be measured or predicted. The corridor stretched before him. Endless doors, endless challenges, and endless possibilities awaited. Rook did not fear them. He had survived the impossible. He had endured, adapted, and mastered chaos. And he would continue to do so whatever the galaxy threw at him. Humans had been underestimated for too long. Now the galaxy knew the truth, and Rook would be at the forefront, leading his kind into a future where nothing could break them. Pain, chaos, strategy, and endurance were nothing to humans. They were tools, and Rook had learned to use them all. The universe had tested him, and humans had survived.